This is the best entry-level TKL custom keyboard I have ever tried, and I want to share my thoughts on why I think it checks a lot of the boxes of what a high-quality custom keyboard should be at an entry level. Because there are lower quality keyboards at entry level as well, and there are also different ways to define and categorize what it means for something to be at entry level. But I can absolutely recommend this as a high-end beginner's board is what I'm getting at. So first I'm going to show you my personal build here and then I'll discuss. This is the Frog by Geonworks. It's not a new keyboard at all because it has been around for quite a while, but I haven't gotten my hands on one until now. Here's a quick look at the specs. Now, in my personal build, I went with an F13 Win keyless dark green case with a leather brown colored rubber feet, an FR4 half plate, Matcha green tea linear switches which are lubed but not filmed, Owl Lab stabilizers with a solder PCB, as well as GMK Maestro keycaps. Now, here's a quick sound test. The Frog is made with aluminum top and bottom cases with varying color options for each run. The included inner and outer weights are sandblasted and ceramic coated brass with the Frog signature in the middle. It comes with a default leaf spring aluminum plate, which means there are more cutouts for a flexi typing experience compared to the non-leaf spring plate that is available as a separate add-on purchase on the website. The mounting style is a unique top mount with rubber pins, which are called tadpoles, that are inserted on the edges of the plate and held between the top and bottom case. It has a right side USB-C port and it does sit lower compared to the other keyboards I have, which is nice. I personally like lower typing angles and lower profile keyboards. There's not a lot of flex in this board and it does provide mostly a stiff typing experience, especially when using the default ADA rubber tadpole pins for the mount, which is what I have here. Softer and harder tadpole pins are available to purchase separately as well, ranging from a hardness scale of 50A to 90A, where the higher the number, the harder the pin. So here are the reasons why I think this is the best, or at least a high-end entry-level custom keyboard. First is the pricing. From a very reputable designer, $295 is solid. Now, you do also need to get a PCB separately as an add-on. $60 for a hot swap or $45 for a solder one, which is what I got. There's also a few FR4 plate options as well as polycarb, palm, and a laminated plate. Now, you can of course choose to use the default aluminum plate that comes with the Frog kit if that's your preference and save a bit of money. Second is the build process. This keyboard is quite easy to assemble, minus the one minor issue I ran into of having to file down the rough protruding snap-off bits on the edge of the PCB, so it can actually fit inside the bottom case. Now, I would also say because of this minor issue, I categorize it as an entry level as well. But also note that not everybody had this fitment issue with their units, so it will vary. With the given build instructions and a few creator videos on YouTube, assembly is pretty easy. Third is the availability, and I think the Frog TKL is in the perfect spot. It is sold in batches with limited units about every other month to every few months. It's not sold in massive quantities or constantly made on an assembly line where it's always in stock. I will also add that the Frog TKL is also quite easy to find in the aftermarket for close to or at cost. At the same time, the Frog isn't as rare or expensive as something like an F18X, TGR Jane, or a Keycult, which are higher tier boards where it's just harder to find and less affordable, especially for someone who's just jumping into the hobby. When it comes to delivery, the Frog TKL fulfills quite fast compared to what's considered normal wait time in the custom keyboard hobby. It's pretty similar to what Mode is doing with their products in a 2 to 4 month fulfillment period. Now, I want to talk about the Frog being a TKL layout and why that's perfect for an entry-level custom. The reason being is because statistically, most people come from using a full-sized keyboard, and a TKL is the next step to help users ease their way down to determining how much of a keyboard they actually use. Now, granted, there are people out there who already know what size they want, even being new into the hobby, and that works too. It just takes a bit more research and, most importantly, good visualization of their own personal workflow before committing to a build. And also, to state the obvious, I know some people dislike the Frog and some people love it, but you can say that to just about any keyboard. That's why at the beginning of the video I had to say that this is the best entry-level TKL custom keyboard that I have tried, because you can make an entry-level board out of any layout. But in my experience, I've just seen people get overwhelmed or intimidated by the idea of, say, coming from a familiar full-size keyboard all their life and then going down to a 60 or 65%, which is why I say TKL makes sense even when comparing to other size layouts when introducing someone into custom keyboards. Aside from that, I know there are custom DIY boards that are more affordable and usually always available. Like good value-wise, for example, the NK65, NK87, or KBD67 lines, both in metal and plastic, which I have personally owned, tried from other owners, recommended, and even praised in the past, and I can always recommend something that fits each person's goals. But when it comes to plastic versus metal boards, I just think plastic builds don't really give as strong or convincing of an impression, especially for someone new coming into the hobby. So for sub $300, consistent anodizing color, strong A and B stock units, machining quality and brass weights, and from a reputable designer, I think the Frog is solid. Because in my mind, if I were to drop $300 to $500 on a single keyboard, I personally wouldn't want a keyboard case made of plastic. And also, I can say that these are the same thoughts that several of my keyboard clients have shared with me. But to be clear, I'm not saying plastic boards aren't great, because they do have their own unique properties in terms of sound and feel compared to metal builds. And to state the obvious, that's preference. If you're trying to achieve something particular with plastic, then go for it. Of course, there are other entry-level custom boards that are full metal that are cheaper, but it's also that. Cheaper in price but also quality. But it also comes down to if you like it and if you're okay with it. In conclusion, the Frog TKL delivers both high quality and great buyer's experience at an entry level in more ways than one, and I can most definitely recommend it. Feel free to agree or disagree with me on the Frog down in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.